as the Los Angeles Police Department is now about to make a statement on this new discovery. Let's listen in.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Captain Andrew Nyman, NEI-MAN, LAPD Media Relations. So I'm here this morning to give you a little more information about stories that have been going around regarding a alleged knife that may have been recovered, possibly in connection to O.J. Simpson case. So this is what we know. Within the last month, LAPD became aware of an item that was allegedly recovered by a citizen at the Rockingham property, possibly during the demolition of the site. We need to vet that. We still don't know if that's an accurate account of how this item came into our possession. The actual item is described as a knife. I'm not going to go into the description of the knife because that could be germane to determining whether or not this actual piece of evidence is in fact evidence or it's just a facsimile or made-up story. So we need to look into that, and our robbery homicide is going to look into that. So what I can tell you is that the story as it's told to us by the person we received it from, and the person that we received this knife from is a retired LAPD officer who retired back in the late 90s. He was a motor officer, and at the time, according to him, he was working an off-duty, which is, he was working a movie job, which a lot of our officers do on an off-duty basis, as well as our retired officers. So I do not know whether he was retired at the time that he allegedly received this item from the person who claimed they found it on the property, or whether he was still in fact an LAPD officer and then retired sometime after that. So we are looking into that. The bottom line is that with all cases that remain open, such as the O.J. Simpson and other murder cases and robbery cases, unless there's an actual arrest or conviction to prove that we have actually closed the cases remain open. That is where we are with the O.J. Simpson case. And I shouldn't say the O.J. Simpson case. This is the Nicole Brown case. This is a double homicide that is still open and ongoing. So the investigators will continue to look at this. That item has been recovered by robbery homicide investigators. It is being treated as we would all evidence. So it has been submitted to our lab. They are going to study it and examine it for all forensics, including serology and DNA and hair samples, and that is ongoing as we speak. So with that, I can take a couple of questions, and I may not be able to answer all your questions. So let me start right here first. Yes. Well, I was really surprised. I would think that an LAPD officer, if this story is accurate as we're being told, would know that anytime you come into contact with evidence, that you should and shall submit that to investigators. So I don't know what the circumstances are why that didn't happen, or if that's entirely accurate, or if this whole story is possibly bogus from the get-go. Involving a variety of people. So we're looking into that, but I was quite shocked. So in terms of charges, the officer is retired. So in terms of administrative charges with the department, we'll look into that, but at this point, I don't believe there are any administrative charges that could be filed because he's no longer an employee of the department. In terms of criminal allegations, robbery, homicide, and our investigators will look into if there are any potentiality of criminal charges related to this. So,
the knife, the condition it was in, how long the knife is, if you found anything on it, possibly drive blood.
Yeah, I don't have that information, and the investigators have asked that we not be very descriptive about the knife, so they haven't actually told me, so I don't accidentally tell you. And for obvious reasons, we need to, first of all, determine is this evidence, and if it's not evidence, how do we prove one way or another that it's not? And the only way we could do that is by being able to challenge the people involved as to where it was recovered, how long it was, where it was alleged to have been, etc.
Can we at least say whether or not it was a machete or a kitchen knife or a pen knife?
It's my understanding that it is a knife. So it's not a machete. So.
Captain, does double jeopardy
So my understanding, I'm not an attorney, but it's my understanding from being a police officer for nearly 30 years that double jeopardy would be in place here. So we could not charge Mr. Simpson with the homicides that he's already been charged with because he's been acquitted.
How long will the investigation of the forensics take?
It depends. It depends what kind of evidence they are able to glean from the item. But that we are working on that, and obviously there's a lot of attention to this. So we are interested in finding out as quickly as possible so we can put this story to rest or confirm something.
You guys plan on reaching out to OJ?
Can you describe how he got the knife and how he turned it over to the police?
So as I'm told, the off-duty or retired officer was working in the area of the Rockingham estate, and he claimed that an individual who claimed to be a construction worker provided him with this knife, claiming that it was found on the property. So he held on to it until just recently when we discovered that he had it, and we have now recovered it within the last month.
Do you guys plan on reaching out to OJ at all?
Do we? That may be part of the investigation, but I don't know.
Do you plan to go back to the property and do any further investigations back at the estate?
There will be plenty of additional investigation. I don't know where that will lead our investigators. Now, that property, as many of you know, has been demolished and rebuilt, so I don't know if they will be going back there, but certainly they will look into all options.
What was his explanation?
Let me go over here.
What year was the knife recovered?
Yeah, we're not going to provide the exact dates because, again, that could go to our investigators either proving or disproving the legitimacy of this item and where it came from and who was involved.
Where exactly on the property was it found?
I don't know that.
The only knife that's ever been recovered, or have other knives been turned in by the
Yeah,
public on this?
yeah, I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
What's his explanation for holding it over?
It's my understanding that he believed that the case was closed, which again is a possibility that he had that misunderstanding. So again, as I explained at the beginning, any case that is not where we don't have a conviction on all of the charges, or we're not able to prove to our satisfaction that we have proved the facts of the case, remains an open case, and that is the case here.
He's an LAPD officer. He didn't know to turn it in.
I don't know what his statement is. That's the information I have at this time, so I'm sure we will look into that further.
You're releasing the name of the officer.
We are not releasing his name at this time.
Do you know the name of the person who found the knife initially?
We don't. So we will be looking for that, so I would ask the public, so if you're seeing this story and you believe you are that individual that provided this knife, we would love to have you contact our robbery homicide division, and we would get more information from you then.
Is there a possible obstruction of justice by not turning the knife in?
Yeah, I don't know that. We will certainly look into any potentiality of any criminal charges that may be involved here.
Is it true that he tried to turn in the knife at one point? The investigators told him it was worthless.
I don't know that. Yeah.
Captain, how much does DNA evidence degrade over time? Is it possible for them to use more?
Yeah, I'm not a forensic expert, but it's my understanding that depending on where an item is kept and how it's stored and maintained, that it's possible to get DNA, I mean, look at what we do forensically with our natural history, discovery of items that are very old. So we're hopeful if this is involved, our investigators will submit it to the labs that are very good at what they do, and we'll see.
How was the story today?
I don't know.
How long are you guys looking at until after the testing that you guys start to see any type of DNA analysis?
Well, it depends on the type of testing and the condition of the forensics if we discover any forensics. So there's a lot of processes, and again, I'm not a scientist, so we have folks that are experts in that, and they will do everything in their power to maintain that and produce anything that is producible.
Apologize.
Okay.
Apologies if you already mentioned this, but can you talk about how LAPD found about this right now?
So it was brought to our attention that this retired officer had an item that was believed to or alleged to be possibly taken from or recovered from the Rockingham estate back in the 90s. And that's how, once we learned about that, we followed up and recovered it from him.
To LAPD?
I don't know how the contact was made, but we discovered it, and our investigators immediately followed up on that.
Can you tell us what the report is, how the knife was found? Was it buried? Was it sealed in the wall?
Yeah, that I don't know. I don't know where it was recovered or how it was reported to have been recovered.
Were any of the original case detectives on
Well, when a case remains open, it is handed off to a special team, our open case team, and that is who has it at robbery homicide. So they would not have been the original investigators on this case. And that happens in many cases that go on for years. We have, a number of cases that are still open, from decades ago, where the officers and investigators are certainly retired by now. So, last question.
Can you clarify if you could? The retired officer, was he retired back at the time he received the item?
We're still trying. I don't have that information. We're trying to determine that, what his status was when the item was allegedly handed to him, whether he was in fact retired or retired shortly after that. All I can tell you is that he did retire in the late 90s. So, and I'm not sure when this item came into his possession.
He was working a movie shift? Or?
He was more, yeah. A lot of our officers work. You see them around the community in Los Angeles and elsewhere. Typically, they're on LAPD not LAPD motorcycles. They work on movie bikes that look like LAPD officers, and they are in LAPD uniforms. That is by an agreement with the city and with the department that they work those jobs for traffic safety, for the safety of the public. So it's my understanding he was working one of those jobs as a motor officer for the movie job. So he would, in any case, be off duty, whether he was retired or still employed by LAP, but in an off-duty capacity.
What's his name?
We're not providing his name at this time. Okay, thank you very much.